Greetings. Welcome to ITR Live. I'm your host, Chris Hagenow. We are back here for another action-packed, fun-filled episode of Iowa's favorite conservative podcast. You have John Hendrickson and myself today. We are ready to deliver all the finest in conservative talk here in Iowa. You ready to roll, John?
I am, yes.
Good. So it's just the two of us. So I always ask and expect John to come with an extra dose of energy and information because I just basically expect you to kind of speak and I just sit here and play conductor.
Well, I'm ready today. So
good, because I got a lot to talk about. Okay. We had a new feature. I don't know if we did this last time or if it was the time before that, but the mailbag. Mail call. So I got another one, and we talked about some different things, and one is that, and I guess maybe even leading into an episode before that, is we want to try and highlight when the presidential candidates are talking on tax and fiscal policy. And so the latest mailer I got is from Governor Doug Burgum, who has really done a lot of mail, and it's really good stuff. And the reason I can say that is because we've used the same vendor before. But no, it really is. It's wonderful stuff. And but here is, Doug Burgum, new leader for a changing economy, but he's really leaning into this. So I'm going to read this for you, John. I want to get your perspective. Conservative governor, business leader, passed the largest tax cut in state history, cut spending by billions, balanced the budget, eliminated red tape, and put innovation over regulation. Like, that's a pretty good record.
It is, yeah. Yeah, and North Dakota, in fact, I wrote a draft article this morning just kind of highlighting some recent state policy tax changes, and North Dakota is one of the states this year that did some major tax cuts, and that's because of what Governor Burgum did there. Yeah.
I mean, clearly these are issues that he cares a lot about because he's led on them in North Dakota.
Yes.
And these are things he actually got done. So it's not just talk. Mm-hmm. There's actual action behind it. And these are the kinds of things obviously like to see done at the federal level, all of them.
Yeah.
So I think it's compelling because he also does have a good record as a business leader. I mean, you can't deny that.
And I think, well, certainly you understand this from your experience in the legislature, but even if you're in a Republican state and control of the state house, cutting taxes isn't easy.
No. Spending more money is easy.
Yes, yeah.
It is. Yeah. It is. It doesn't matter what party you're from.
Yeah.
Using taxpayer dollars to fix a political problem is really easy to do.
Yeah.
And many times leaders don't want to give up that ability to solve those problems with political dollar, with taxpayer dollars. So kudos to Doug Burgum. And I guess I appreciate that he is focusing his campaign on issues that are important to this organization. Mm-hmm. Nothing more, nothing less. But I think he's absolutely believable on these issues. And I just, as a connoisseur of political mail, I thought it was a really good one.
Yeah, so, I did not get that one. Usually I get his mailings, but
I get it all, John.
Yeah.
So I'm getting Trump.
Yeah.
I'm getting all the MAGA stuff. I'm getting DeSantis. I'm getting Planned Parenthood membership cards in the mail. Like apparently it's not that I'm targeted on they must think I'm a complete free agent for sale, and I'll believe whatever they send. So maybe that's.
Did you get the handwritten letter from Vivek?
I did get that letter. Yeah. The obviously I could tell the ink smudges and everything. It was like wrote that right there on his desk. Yeah. Okay. Good. Okay. John, now I got to talk about something that I didn't even bring up in the pre-production meeting, but this really, so Axios Des Moines today. Johnston schools re-examines rules after Trump float attends homecoming parade.
I didn't hear about this.
Are you horrified yet?
Not. I'm just, this will be interesting.
Okay. Because if you're not, just stand by.
Yeah.
It gets awful.
Yeah.
This is just the dastardly people here. Okay. So apparently contested school board elections, which are coming up here and folks should educate themselves on what's going on, is the Democrats are outraged that these school board elections are somehow become partisan, even though they're ostensibly nonpartisan, even though the Democrats have their slate of preferred candidates that they're all supporting and all the Democrats are behind. But you're not supposed to pay attention to that right now, right? Yeah. Set that aside. Yeah. They are aghast that there was a Trump float, which by the looks of the picture is one Jeep with a American flag and a Trump flag in it. But Okay, outrage continues. Again, Axios says, well, these school board elections are supposed to be nonpartisan. Never mind the generations of work that teachers unions did on behalf of Democrats to elect all their preferred people to school board elections across the state. Setting that aside as well, that's lowered staff morale at Johnston schools. There's been partisan political influence has really lowered morale. John, are you outraged yet?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So there's 4 candidates that are running that are more conservative. There's another slate on the Democrat slide, and I'll leave my thoughts on slates of candidates to the side for right now. I'm not a big fan, but we'll come back to that another time. Here's the other dastardly deed here in the article, John. The 4 candidates are running together and supported by a local Republican group, which is linked to Facebook group of Johnston area Republicans.
Yeah. How dare they do that?
Yeah. Did you know also there's a Johnston area Democrats Facebook group and they're supporting the liberal progressive candidates?
Yes.
That wasn't mentioned in the article.
No,
not at all. Okay.
No.
Okay. So now we're going to get back down to what actually happened here. Nelson, one of the candidates, denied he knew that the float was going to be Trump related and said he participated in the parade last Thursday as a local school board candidate. Okay. Bullet point. The addition of the Trump float was, quote, more than I was expecting as well. And the other 3 candidates did not respond to requests for comment. So what we have here, school board candidates going together. They're probably Republicans. And the picture shows, you've got a Ryan Binkley sign, Tim Scott, Zach Nunn, Mike Naig, all on the float, as you would see in a parade, right? Didn't really know that this was going to be a Trump Jeep with a flag, but these parades, that's the way they line up. It's just sort of whoever shows up, you get in line and you go. There's not a lot of forethought to this, but now we've got a real scandal. I mean, you really should treat yourself, John, to the outrage, the tearing of clothes and the weeping that's going on progressive social media over this just awful Trump flag that flew in this parade. You wouldn't believe it. It's
those poor people.
Right. I mean, look, I don't know if there's a Joe Biden sign, although Joe Biden probably ought to start running a campaign at some point.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's a Joe Biden float or anything in the parade, but I mean, the Democrats candidate's the one that's polling at 32% on his approval rating in Iowa. Maybe they should not be.
That's right. Yeah.
I don't get this. I mean, I honestly don't. And they go back to the whole idea of student groups at Johnston schools. And it's just all part of this coordinated Democrat / this media attack on how dare they actually be anything but progressive Democrats.
Yes. Yeah. Well, you raised some good points, and it seems like the left and even the Democratic Party is for small d democracy, except when it comes to conservatives. And same thing for free speech. They celebrate free speech, but if you have a conservative point of view, they want to silence you.
Correct.
And same thing, like you mentioned, there's these candidates running who have a Facebook connection with a local Republican group. They make a big deal out of that, but they don't mention that the other candidates are connected to the Democratic Party. And so it's there's a lot of I mean, that's what gets me upset about people on the left, is that, you know, they're always saying our democracy, and it's actually their side that's
correct.
It's just a
buzzword for them.
Yes,
they don't believe in diversity of thought.
No,
therefore, diversity of thought and true classical liberalism. Mm-hmm. They're only for that as long as it's their preferred point of view.
Yeah.
If you step outside of that, get out.
Yeah.
And we're going to line up all of our friends to write articles, and we're just going to get so bent out of shape that the front runner for the Republican presidential nomination would dare run a campaign in their parade.
Yeah.
Look, if you want to ban political, floats from your parade, do that. Just get rid of them. I'm not a huge. I mean, fine, and we'll just have the band and the students, and great. Everybody have fun.
But if it was reversed and it was a Biden flag, or there would not even be a news story.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, no one would have cared.
Because he's part of the approved part of the groupthink on the left.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And look, and then yes, they no article is written about the Ryan Binkley sign.
No.
But just you can replace Trump for whatever other Republican might be leading on the ballot. Yeah. So I'm going to sum it up with this. To the 4 folks that are running on that, do not be distracted, dismayed, or discouraged in any way by this kind of crap.
Yeah.
That they handled this media part remarkably well, on message. Yeah. And they just keep working hard. I see their signs all over town, and I don't even know exactly who they are. I think I've met some of them, maybe not the others, but they did the right way and have nothing to apologize for. So
I think that's great.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Okay. So a couple other policy issues, John, had an announcement on the corporate tax rate in Iowa, because now that's been evolving, I guess, over the last couple of years with the mechanism. Tell folks what happened and sort of how we got to this point.
So as part of the 2022 tax reform law, which was the big one that the main part was, transitioning from our progressive income tax to a flat income tax and not taxing retirement income. But part of that also had a mechanism in it to lower the corporate rate. And so basically what it does is that for every, when corporate revenue comes in over $700 million, that excess revenue then goes down to buy down the rate. And so the last couple of years, we've seen very healthy corporate revenues. And so, for example, 2023, this year, our corporate tax rate fell to 8.4%. And now it was just announced this week that because revenues were healthy, starting January 1st, 2024, it's going from 8.4 to 7.1%, which actually is ahead of schedule because that was not projected to happen until 2027. And so that's because of stronger than expected corporate tax revenues. And there is a goal within that 2022 law that says that the rate will continue to tick down until we reach a flat 5.5%. So right now we still have 2 corporate tax rates. The top rate is 7.1%, will be in 2024, and then the lower rate is 5.5. And that could be something that gets revised, if they look at income taxes again. But I think it speaks to the strength of Iowa's economy right now, especially with all the economic uncertainty because of the good tax policy and a strong fiscal foundation because of good budgeting. And it just shows that, for example, I saw, I believe last week, where in Kentucky, they had to put off some rate reductions because they had designed some revenue triggers and the economy wasn't doing well, and so the trigger wasn't met.
Right.
But here in Iowa, we're doing very well.
Right.
And I think that just gives the strength to what the policies have been to this point, of actually doing the economy very well here.
I was having this conversation with somebody just the other day asking about Iowa's rate reductions and on both the corporate and the individual side, and what I thought in relation to is it something the federal government could ever do? And I said the real beauty of how we've done it is that it's built off the foundation of fiscal strength that came before the rate cuts.
Yes, yeah,
and that. We built that limited government foundation, and these rate reductions are done in the excess that's being paid.
Yes.
And so it's all about right sizing.
Yeah.
And that's being done here in the corporate rate. Mm-hmm. Is the stronger, Iowa corporations do, the less the rate will be.
Yes.
And it's all being done responsibly. Now, do I know that target gets met every time? No, but that's the reason that triggers and targets are put in there.
Yeah.
But I do know that our fiscal house is sound. We've laid the foundation, and that these rate cuts are happening. Yeah. And for the foreseeable future, we are going to be able to see the corporate rate continue to come down, and we're going to be able to do more with accelerating and cutting the individual income tax rate. So anyway, it's a sign of strength.
It is,
no question, and it'll be that much more to entice new business into the state of Iowa.
Yeah,
so it's great.
And there's a lot of competition going on as states are lowering both individual and corporate rates, and so it's just going to make Iowa that more competitive.
Yeah,
because right now at 8.4, we're still pretty high. We have the 10th highest corporate tax rate in the nation.
I think we did
number one.
Oh, number one. Yeah, I knew we were close 12%. To it.
Yeah.
So so
we've come a long way. Just think 12 down to 7.1. Now that's a lot.
The march towards competitiveness continues.
Yes.
Good. Okay. The other one is, I believe this came out yesterday, John, was the report on the study commission on boards and commissions in the state of Iowa. So the governor in the reorganization bill put together the study committee to look at how can we reduce the number of boards and commissions we have. Do I have the number right? 256 different
correct.
Boards and commissions in the state of Iowa, which are citizen panels put together to help regulate and help guide the bureaucracy, I guess, for lack of a better term. So what came out of that report, John?
In fact, the final report actually was published this morning. And so anybody who's interested can go to the Iowa Department of Management website to check that out. But as you said, Chris, this was part of the governor's state reorganization bill that passed. And what this commission did is look at Iowa's boards and commissions, and we have numerous ones. Like you said, we have 256. And so the final report recommends either eliminating or consolidating 111 of those boards and commissions. And then, so that would be about a 43% reduction if the legislature approves that. So what will happen next is this report will then be sent to the legislature for the upcoming session, and then it's up to them now to decide how to act on this. And what this commission found is basically you had so much overlap and some boards that weren't necessary anymore, and so there was a lot of bureaucratic overlap, and so the other thing I want to mention is the committee also made some really good recommendations of having sunset and sunrise provisions on boards, so that there is actually an extensive review process, so this doesn't happen again. So because government's like a weed in your yard; if you don't address it just keeps growing. And so
come over. Anybody wants a live example of this? Stop by the Hagenow house.
Yeah,
we got it all on display.
If you don't have anything to check, government just keeps on growing. And of course, you have people who have argued that this hasn't been a transparent process, which I don't agree with. And then you have individual special interests who have written op-eds basically saying, well, if you get rid of this board, it's going to be a threat to public safety. And I don't agree with any of that. It's just people trying to defend the bureaucracy and the bureaucracy trying to defend itself.
It's a little bit like a smaller than anticipated cut in local government revenue.
Yes, absolutely.
It means you're going to take police and fire off the streets. It's a little bit like that argument.
Yeah.
Because
well, one board that's slated to be, and again, this is not official until the legislature acts.
I'm going to let you on a little secret, John. The legislature's going to put their fingerprints on this report. They are not rubber stamping this thing, guaranteed. So,
but the one is the elevator. I think it's the elevator safety board. I don't know if I have the name correct, but there is some people who are saying now it may not be safe to get on an elevator now. And the board, if I went back to code and it looked like it was set up in 2005, and I thought of the question, what I assume, maybe I don't have the data for this, but I assume people rode elevators in Iowa before 2005 without the board.
But they regularly would just fall down the shaft. And, I mean, it was commonplace. I mean, you're a historian, John. You look it up. But, look, do we have an escalator safety board? Do we have I mean, here's where I come out on this. Just because a board exists doesn't mean that it cannot be regulated.
Yes. Yeah.
Just doesn't mean that the government can't have, and it's just removing layers from the process. Yeah. And it's just so much of this stuff feels like government for the sake of government.
Yes.
You know, there was one of them that was quoted in the hearing was the Commission on Volunteer Service. Yes. I don't really know what the Commission on Volunteer Service does, but I know that we don't need government in order to have volunteers doing things in Iowa. I'm also pretty sure we don't need a board to govern government while they govern volunteer service. Yeah. How about we just help people?
Yeah.
Is that possible? Yeah. And just take government out of the way altogether.
There's actually an interesting story about that one because I think it survived. It was removed from the final report only because there's a lot of federal money tied to that. And so Uncle Sam, you know, this is the problem with, you know, the federal government moving way beyond its control because...
So it's a state government board to regulate the actions of state government that exists only to draw down federal government stuff.
Yeah.
And am I the only one that gets this, John?
I mean, it's just layer upon layer.
More government.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, it's...
But this is, you know, I think this is great because the reorganization bill, I think, was, I would just say one of the key pieces of legislation that advanced last session. And I think it fits nicely with what the governor's agenda because, you know, she's been reducing tax rates and keeping a lid on spending, but she's also... you know, as they used to say, put economy in government, making government more efficient, more responsive, more accountable to the taxpayer, and that's a big part. And so I think a lot of people are keeping an eye on what she's doing from a national level, too, because this is a big part of limited government is what she's doing, and I applaud her for that.
When we talk about limiting the size and the scope of government, it's not just the budget.
Yes, yeah.
It is the things that government does.
Absolutely.
And it's not just deregulation for the sake of stripping away regulations, which this bill doesn't even do.
Yeah.
It's just the boards that govern those regulations. But yes, we get government out of the way whenever possible.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this is just a very small piece of making government more efficient as we get towards that process.
Yeah.
But yes, the arguments just seem awfully hollow to me on why we need all of these layers of government to somehow improve our lives.
And it's all, and from what I've been reading about those opposed to this, it's all the special interests that are trying to protect their board.
So many of these boards exist to protect the industries in which they work from competition.
Yeah.
That we have a professional licensure or a particular type of business that if they control the board, they can control who gets to access that part of the economy or not.
Yeah.
And that's why and sometimes, look, we want to have a board of medicine that governs who's a doctor and who's not. I think that's most people commonly accept that we like some level of state regulation of that. Yeah. But that's one example. Do we need the elevator board? Are those different?
Yeah.
I would suggest they're quite a bit different.
Yeah. And a lot of these, when you look at the report too, it's the board may be eliminated, but those activities are actually being handled by another department.
Another one.
Yeah.
Right.
And so it's streamlining government, making it more efficient. So it's not necessarily saying, you know, we're not going to have any rules governing elevator safety anymore.
Right. Well, and I would suggest that the private sector can probably take care of a whole lot of that through insurance.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, the insurance industry knows where the risks are and aren't, and I'm pretty sure they're not going to want to cover elevators that aren't properly installed and properly maintained. Just a guess. I mean, the insurance industry that asks me whether I have a trampoline in my backyard so that they can assess me a higher, insurance premium, they're going to know who the good elevators are and aren't.
Yeah.
Okay. Come on. This is just, all right. The private sector wins or should win. So kudos to the folks that worked on that because as you said, John, I think there's a lot of really good stuff in there. So, all right. That's all the time we have for today, John. I'm sorry. You have to continue to to work on content for us.
Yes, yeah.
I'm bringing stuff from home. I'm bringing, Axios articles. I'm doing everything I can here.
I agree. It's fun to look at the political literature when it comes.
It is. Well, we'll keep doing that because I do want to know what these candidates are saying on tax and fiscal policy because it is important. And we'll keep talking about it.
We'll have to watch, I believe is it tomorrow the next debate is? Because it might focus more on
tomorrow.
Yeah, it might focus more on economic issues since it's being hosted by Fox Business Network.
Yeah.
So it'd be interesting to see what they have to say about taxes and spending.
Yeah.
And some of the economic issues.
Well, it's needed because it's an important part of the issues of the day. All right. Well, very good. John, thank you. Listeners, thank you for joining us. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Don't forget to tell your friends. Don't forget to leave us a great review. And don't forget to tune in next time. And with that, we will see you next time on ITR Live.